Good morning, everyone. It is so great to be here with you today, especially here in East Harlem. Mi querida El Barrio. The neighborhood where I was born and raised, as was Hope Knight, our commissioner for ESD. We're not letting her get out of it. But it's also so great to be here with Governor Hochul. I heard through the grapevine that she has some good news that she wants to deliver. But as you know, we are here in one of New York City's most vibrant neighborhoods, filled with rich culture, history, and a strong Latino and African American identity. I grew up here in East Harlem, El Barrio, played in Jefferson Park. This is where my grandparents, both sets, came from Puerto Rico and chose to live right here in East Harlem, El Barrio. One was a bodeguero on 112th Street between Park and Madison, and the other one was a barbero. As you know, my history in this community goes back, and it's really great to be here with the governor and bring her to my part of this beautiful city. But we all, never the hood. We are always raising it up. And I walk in the footsteps of my father, who was a council member and who represented this district, and we build on the legacy of those who came before us. Those are the lessons that we embody. And that was one of the reasons why I went into public service and even chaired a community board. These days, Xavier Santiago has taken up that mantle. Because we know that government has the power to do good, to create change, to make amazing things happen for its citizens. And as the community transforms, we all play a role in that. I was proud of the role that I played as assembly member, fighting a number of battles around transit equity, Congresita, 2nd Avenue subway, ya sabe, you know. Environmental and park space. Yes, there's still $10 million for that pier and the East River Esplanade. Also making sure that we never forget about our investments in public housing and affordable housing, because that's part of who we are. So if you've been following me over the last year, you know that one of the duties is traveling across the state and figuring out how we best invest in our communities to have that positive impact. And we know that when we invest in our communities, they flourish. So right here in East Harlem, it's not just a community, it's a family. Somos familia. And we lift each other up to make sure that the landscape is right for the future generations that come after us. I have to recognize Frankie Miranda from Hispanic Federation as well, because he serves a very important role in making sure that familia stays together and we take care of everyone through the member organizations. But really, the governor here is here today to advance that success and progress. So I want to thank the governor for her continued support of this community. And so, with no further ado, the moment you've all been waiting for, please welcome the 57th governor of the state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Buenos dias. Good to see everyone. Lo siento, soy tarde. And I think you'll understand I have a very good reason why I was a little bit late today. I had to make a phone call to someone that perhaps you didn't know before a very important Buffalo Bills game a few weeks ago, but I had a chance to talk to DeMar, and I told him I'm heading up to Harlem. He is doing well. DeMar Hamlin, number 3, Buffalo Bills, in case you're not paying attention, in case you've been asleep for the last month. But I told him that New York City loves him as well, that Harlem loves him as well. And I know that he wants to use the gift of his story as an inspiration. I said, I have a place I'm bringing you, DeMar. Finish the season, get through the Super Bowl, win. Sorry, Giants fans. But ultimately, I'm going to bring him back here and let him speak to young people about through inspiration and looking up to role models like him. The power of prayer gave him this platform, he believes. And I said, you can be a great voice to join with me in letting young people know that through sports or music and culture and dance at places like this, they can have a better outcome. So I'm going to get him up here. Don't know when, but I did have that conversation with him just a few minutes ago. So I thought that would be an okay excuse to be late. Are we okay with that one? Okay. All right. But we are here with extraordinary leaders. Part of me wants to apologize for taking your assembly member away, but I gave him the opportunity to be the public servant he has in his DNA. Robert Rodriguez is an individual who has been widely respected around the state now as he travels to cities and rural hamlets and suburbs and places where I want to make sure that they know we believe that every community matters. And sometimes it's just all about showing up. And when I cannot be there, my Lieutenant Governor, Antonio Delgado, cannot be there, we also have a Secretary of State who travels extensively and believes in this program, believes in the power of just one check that can give people that sense that they matter, that their state government believes they matter, and that their story and their future can be even stronger and better with support from the state. So let's give another round of applause to Harlem Zone, East Harlem Zone, our great Secretary of State. You also have the most incredible member of Congress representing you. I was still Lieutenant Governor, and every single time I saw Congressman Espaillat, the word 2nd Avenue subway came out of his mouth. Every single time. Am I right about that? 2nd Avenue subway. Is there anything else you care about? 2nd Avenue subway, 2nd Avenue subway. So I come out of local government, county government, Congress, and I admire you because I would do the same. I would not miss that opportunity to speak so powerfully on behalf of my constituents, to say they have lived in a transit desert too long. There are jobs and opportunities that are unlocked if we can just make it easier for people to get around and not have such a long commute to get to a place where they can lift their families up. So we are in this together. It's got a big price tag, and we're counting on Washington as well, but we're here at the state level. And I thank you for going down into that dark manhole. We went underground. It's like, okay, the congressman wants me here, but thank you for your passion and all you do for your district. Let's give another round of applause for Congressman Espaillat. And you have an assembly member. Eddie Gibbs is everywhere. He performs outstanding up in Albany, but he's also really good at parades. We marched in the Three Kings parades, and somehow the Three Kings parade just wasn't moving at the pace Eddie wanted it to. So Eddie gets out of line, goes up there, okay, let's move this along, let's move it along. It's like, who doesn't want to listen to Eddie Gibbs? But I do. And he has become a great friend, and I thank him for his leadership as well. You're a assembly member, Eddie Gibbs. And a borough president is a big job. It's a big job. It's an important job. It is a vast, widely diverse, fascinating borough, and I know you love it with every fiber in your being, Mark Levine. And when you have a project like this that you spearheaded and championed and worked so closely with Uptown Grand Central, Kerry King, Diane Collier, you made this happen, what we're going to announce here today. So thank you for your tenacity in fighting for the people of this borough as well. Let's give a round of applause to our Borough President, Mark Levine. Hope Night, we're back in the neighborhood, and you have been everywhere, extraordinary. You are the leader, the face of economic development in our state, and I could not be prouder of what you do for all of us in lifting communities up and never forgetting where you came from as well. Let's give a round of applause to CEO of Empire State Development, Frankie Miranda. You run this magnificent place. Thank you for being at my side as we're doing what we can to lift up voices and people in many positions, and we're going to do so much more, and I believe in that. And I thank you for being such a powerful voice, someone who cares deeply through the Hispanic Federation and all you do. we're not done. We have a lot of people that need their voices lifted up. And so to be at a place like this, I'm really proud to be here. It's a great space. Julia de Burgos Performance Center. Now, what is her story? She's a champion for women, civil rights, independence. She was a fighter. And I'm proud to be standing in front of a fighter. Because I believe in fighting. Because I believe in taking on the fights that matter. So we are so lucky to be at this place at this time. This place is fascinating, and it's not just because everybody heard of Spanish Harlem from the song, right? None of you were born in 1960 when it was first released. Some of us might have been really little, but I don't know who. But immortalized by Aretha Franklin, who talked about the rose in black and Spanish Harlem. And so this has captured the imagination of the world. You know, what kind of community is talked about with such passion and vibrancy in a song that everyone knows? And I listened to it again this morning because I knew where I was coming up here. And it just gives you that understanding that this is a unique community. It's got special attributes. It's got people. So fascinating. And it deserves, not just from the soulful music and the food, but it's more than just the places. It is la gente. It is la gente del barrio, the people of this place that are making a difference. After the first World War, yes, Puerto Ricans came here, Latin Americans came here, people from the Caribbean came here, people in search of a better life. And they all brought their culture to this melting pot. So this area is the largest Puerto Rican community outside of San Juan in the world. I mean, it's right here. Okay. So we travel to Somos every year to meet the Puerto Rican leaders. Like, why don't I just go up to East Harlem? There's more there. But I'll continue to go. But I cherish this opportunity. You think about the restaurants, Ricardo's, the Mexican street band, Delicias Mexicana, and of course, Patsy's Pizza. Went to Patsy's with my husband the other night, late at night, great food. But this really just is important to me. And when I feel there's communities that have been overlooked, it's kind of like the mother of big family. You kind of gravitate to the ones that feel like they're not getting enough attention, right? That's what this community means to me. And it is time to let this rose bloom. And that's what this is all about. This is how we achieve the New York dream, as I speak about, leveling that playing field. So to help that effort, I'm proud to announce here today that East Harlem has won a competition, congratulations, and will receive $10 million in funding. $10 million. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. This is part of our Downtown Revitalization Initiative. It'll transform this neighborhood into a transit hub, and this is the gateway to El Barrio. And it's not just the economic activity today, but it's going to drive growth here for generations to come, and that's what I'm so excited about. So we're going to focus on the lives of the people who live here now. Of course, more people are going to want to live here because it's such a cool place. That includes the expansion of the 2nd Avenue subway to 125th. We're going to do that. We'll also have to work on the Park Avenue Viaduct project, okay? It's about time. It's about time to do the right thing. Repair and replace the portions, make sure people are safe, reduce the noise, because this neighborhood deserves it. And also safer streets. We want people outside. We want them walking. We want them to enjoy the barrio and go to all the bodegas and restaurants. We need more green and functional public spaces for our kids to just get that fresh air and have a chance to just relax. And even adults, I mean, we saw what the pandemic did. So many people needed to go to parks and just reconnect with nature and feel okay again. That's what we're going to build in this community, as well as an economic boost to local businesses. So we are going to be righting the wrongs of the past, years of neglect, and transform people and places in an extraordinary way. So we have already invested through this program into many communities, $600 million. But this is the key to success. It's $10 million for New York City sounds like it doesn't even sound a drop in the budget. You put it in a neighborhood led by leaders who know this community better than anybody. And they say, we need this block fixed. We need this done here. We need this. I'm not going to tell you what to do because I wasn't born and raised here. People from here know. And I listen to your voices. That's what the Secretary of State does as well. He brings that local experience. So 100 years from now, people look back at us and say, what did you do? What kind of difference did you make in the lives of others? Did you matter by taking up space on this earth? All of you in this room will be able to know that you made a difference. And people, generations from now, look back at us and say, we invested. We let people know they matter. We transformed a community. And we made a difference in people's lives. That's why we're here. And as I talked about in my State of the State last night, we need a more equitable dream for all. You can't just say the New York dream, which is better than the American dream, I guarantee it. It's more diverse, it's more inclusive, it's got more power behind it. It's something we believe in, lifting up everyone. But it also means housing that they can afford, because the people who were born and raised here want their kids to know the grandparents. It's that stability of a community that's so important to our cultures here, that connection with family. And if the kids can't afford to live here and they have to move away, that's a tragedy. That's losing the influences of the older generation, which have built on decades and generations of traditions that get passed down. How do they get passed down if someone's living in another state or living somewhere else? I want them to live here. And I say that as a grandma whose grandbaby lives somewhere else. I need to bring her up here. Maybe I'll move her to East Harlem, okay? Okay. But we also have to work on people's sense of safety. They have to feel safe in our communities. And I talked about that they have to know that their government leaders are working with community leaders and partners and the people on the ground and the violence disruption programs that give people an alternative. We have to keep investing in them and expanding all we can do to help our communities be safe, not just feel safe, but be safe. And mental health services. We talked about the largest investment in our state's history, a complete reversal of that time of the deinstitutionalization of the 1970s, where the doors were unlocked, people pushed out in the streets and said, you're on your own, good luck. That was an epic failure. And people are suffering right now. So we have to lift them up as well and provide supportive housing and services and the mental health beds for people who really need care. And that's what I committed to do as well. So we'll build more houses, we'll take care of people's mental health, we'll give them a safer environment, and also help people who are just struggling, helping them with money to retrofit their houses. Energy costs are so high. People are hurting. So we understand that profoundly. And it's just a matter of, I believe, that people should be paid more as everything keeps going up. It's not their fault that the cost of diapers and formula and the kids' sneakers and backpacks and a bologna sandwich costs more than it ever did. It's nobody's fault. And they shouldn't have to suffer for that. That's why I propose pegging the minimum wage to the inflation. So when prices go up, your earning power goes up as well. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. We talk about fairness and equity. That'll help 900,000 New Yorkers have more money in their pockets. Mostly they're single moms living in communities like this too. Everybody needs a little bit of help. So I'm here to say this community matters. I'm going to come back. We're going to come back and name the projects that you want to see funded. If you want it to go faster, find Robert Rodriguez. And we'll be back here, announce them, and the best part of all is not just the groundbreakings, but the ribbon cuttings, because we'll be cutting ribbons on a garden, once known as Spanish Harlem, East Harlem, and that rose is going to continue to bloom, and the rest of the world's going to see that this is a magnificent place. Thank you. Felicidades, felicidades. And let me bring up the one and only Adriano Espaillat, a friend, a champion for this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for coming to El Barrio, East Harlem, Spanish Harlem. This is a wonderful place, right? El Barrio is much more than La Marqueta. It's much more than the Lucky Corner on 116th Street in Lexington. It's much more than Julia de Burgos and Museo del Barrio. It's much more than the wonderful cuisine. It's really the launching pad, right, for the Latino experience in the Northeast of the nation. And so this is a trailblazing community that not only left its fingerprints permanently in these neighborhoods, but that helped open the doors for so many others to come behind them. And so this is a wonderful, iconic community, and I'm blessed to represent a district that has El Barrio, it has Harlem, it has Washington Heights, it has the Boogie Down Bronx. And so it's a very iconic neighborhood. And yes, I am passionate about 2nd Avenue subway. Yes, I say it's connecting El Barrio and Harlem to the world, right? Because first of all, it's a transportation desert, and it will relieve the overcrowding of one of the most overcrowded lines in the nation, the Lexington Avenue line. But it will connect via express bus to LaGuardia Airport. It will connect to Metro North and counties even in Connecticut and upstate, and it will connect in the future to water transportation, both on the Harlem River and the Hudson River. So I say it's a regional project, right? It's not even a local project. It's a regional project, and we want just more than a subway stop. It's got to be a transportation hub, right? Exciting, and one that we can feel proud of, and it will connect El Barrio and Harlem to the rest of the world. That's how I see it. And Uptown Grand Central is doing a great job of putting forward the vision for the community. Is really engaged in it. So it's just more than addressing a transportation desert. It's really about redefining and relaunching a community. So this project works tremendously well with it because this is getting ahead of it and revitalizing the neighborhood. So when it happens, the neighborhood has already been strengthened in a way that it will benefit even more from the 2nd Avenue subway. And so public safety is an important factor, and we're working with the mayor in increasing police presence, but also I funded $500,000 for violence interrupters, credible messengers that are going to be there in the community to address and diffuse situations. Once these situations happen, it's a tragedy for everybody. We got to help diffuse them. We're working with local leaders on some of the quality of life issues in the neighborhood. So this is a great project, and the most important part of it is that the community will design it. You will have skin in the game. You will have your DNA in this project. And so this is a wonderful opportunity. Thank you, Governor. You have shown to be, and I say this unequivocally, you have shown to be a friend of the Latino community, and we appreciate that. We appreciate that. We appreciate that. And so thank you for this. I look forward to, yo espero trabajar con la gobernadora y también con todos ustedes para asegurar que este proyecto sea todo un éxito. Y con eso, and with that, let me introduce to you someone that is not bilingual, he is trilingual. Our Borough President, Mark Levine.
I'm going to deliver this speech in Hebrew. I'm just kidding. Si ustedes quieren saber por qué el congresista está tan contento hoy, ayer los Tigres de Licey se llevaron el campeonato dominicano y se tiene que enfrentar a Mayagüez. en la Serie del Caribe. Yo no me voy a meter en esa contienda. Very brief translation. The congressman is very happy today because Licey won the Dominican Baseball League championship. We're very happy for him. They got to get past Mayagüez in the Caribbean series, so I'm not taking sides in that one. Thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you for this investment, for believing in East Harlem. You actually made history in East Harlem on Three Kings Day, becoming the first governor to ever march in that parade. It was amazing. Give her a big round of applause for that. And we know you got a very big state and even a very big city, and you have invested, you have chosen to invest in El Barrio, East Harlem. That is huge. Thank you. Thank you to a son of East Harlem, Robert Rodriguez, who, though he's ascending very high in state government, has not forgotten where he's come from. We are so grateful. And we can say the same about you, Hope Knight. Thank you for your role in leading the economic development for the state and continuing to believe in East Harlem. We have an incredible local partner on this application in Uptown Grand. Uptown Grand Central. Could I have again Diane maybe stand up and Carrie, where's Carrie? And Carrie King. Oh my God. Wow. You two are very popular in this room with good reason. This was a lot of work, and I want to thank you, Carrie, for what you did. I also want to thank my own Amy Slattery, Budget Director for the Borough President, who both of whom worked very, very hard on this application. Now comes the fun part, because the governor is not going to tell this neighborhood what projects to invest in. I'm not going to tell you, the Congress member, the Assembly member, we're not going to tell this community what projects to invest in. There's now a pool of capital in $10 million, and we get to begin now an exciting community-led process to determine the projects to invest in. And I know about this because we just did it in Chinatown. That was also money that the governor secured, so we're 2 for 2 in Manhattan. Thank you. Amazing. Wow, we got a little inter-community neighborhood love here in Manhattan. I like that. The projects that they have selected, I think, show you what the potential is for East Harlem. They are investing in upgrading park space, upgrading street plazas, improving lighting. They created a fund for small businesses in Chinatown that's going to help them upgrade facades for small businesses, among other things. All sorts of investments that we could do here in East Harlem, if you want to. You're going to suggest the projects. We're going to begin a process by which the great ideas are going to float to the top. And I am confident that you're going to come up with amazing, transformative investments that are going to help the business community here, that are going to help public safety and quality of life and the cultural community. That's what we can do now. What I do know about East Harlem, there is no shortage of talent in East Harlem. There is no shortage of energy. There's an amazing small business community. There's one of the largest and most important nonprofit social service communities. There's a very rich cultural scene here, including at this great cultural center. But East Harlem needs and deserves investment. It's really true. This community needs investment. And now, today, we know 10 million is coming. This is so exciting. So, una vez más, gracias, Gobernadora. Thank you so much, Governor Hochul, and to the state team. I'm so excited to work with our partners, Congressman Espaillat, and the man I get to introduce next, the hardest working man in not just show business, but state government, a man whose life story, I think, demonstrates the power of redemption and second chances, and who is doing an incredible job on behalf of his community. Assembly Member Eddie Gibbs, come on up.
I want to thank my dear friend Mark Levine for that wonderful introduction. It only cost me $25 in a lunch. He deserved the lunch. You guys know that I'm a man of few words, but a whole lot of action. So I just want to start by acknowledging a few people in the room, a few people who make East Harlem go around. And I want to start with our senior guy, Mr. Charlie Diaz from Arch Care. I see our former community board chairs here, Hilda, Raul Reyes. I also see Nina Saxon, our community board, Xavier Santiago, ever present. I see my co-leader, hardest working woman, the hardest working district leader on this side of town, Hilda Solomon. Stand up, Hilda. They need to see you. And I also see Carrie Mobley and Diane. You know I love you guys, and Stephanie McGraw from Warm. But what's grabbing my attention right now, I am a big advocate for seniors, but I'm a big advocate for youth. So I just want to shout out our children, our kids from PS 108. They here. Stand up, guys. Stand up, guys. Stand up, 108. Stand up. Don't be shy. Governor, before you take your seat, you said to ask the governor. I'm going to ask the governor. They want to know, can they use some of the $10 million to change the lunch? They want McDonald's, White Castles, and she said Burger King. And chopped cheese. PS 108 invited me to the school to speak to the youth, and I thought I would be doing just that, and it was an ambush. They had an interview set up, and they had the great interrogators in them classes, led by the great teacher, and they interrogated me for about 40 minutes. I mean, and every question was the betterment of East Harlem, the betterment of PS 108. How can we go to our schoolyards to play safely? How can we play on the grounds that don't get cut by a broken glass or a dirty syringe? And, you know, these kids are really advocating for a clean park, and I appreciate your PS 108. I just want to say thank you. I also want to acknowledge Hope Knight. I thank you, Hope, so much, so much, and so much. And, of course, our Deputy Borough Speaker, Diana Yella, in her absence. Now, to my favorite governor. And I say favorite governor because since Pataki, since Patterson, since Spitzer, and since my good friend Cuomo, I've asked all of them to come to East Harlem, stand in front of the people, say hello, bring resources, and it was crickets. Yeah. We asked Governor Hochul one time, and she's been here about 5, 6 times now. I asked 6 times, Nina? 7? I asked for one visit. She's been here 7 times, and it won't be her last. Governor Hochul, I want you to know that not only will I move parades for you, I'll move mountains. I appreciate you. I love your husband, Bill. I know he feels the same way about my crazy self, and I just want to thank you for your undying support. And I also want to applaud you. I love you, too. I also want to applaud Governor Hochul and the New York City Regional Economic Development Council for selecting East Harlem, my home, lifelong, born and raised, to receive the DRI funding. With major projects like the 2nd Avenue Subway, Congressman Espaillat's baby, and the Jefferson Park Esplanade, State Secretary Rodriguez's baby, and all the other possible fixtures that we're going to do here in the community. I want to say thank you because projects like the 2nd Avenue Subway slated to expand to 125th Street. This funding would help to preserve our culture, enhance our community, the community we love, the community we call home, and the community that the members of PS 108 in the future will be governing. I want to say thank you to our governor. I want to say thank you to Carrie in Grand Central. This young lady do so much work. I have to ask her to stand. And Carrie, I want to... For those who don't know, Carrie is this young, vibrant, tiny, white lady who sometimes by herself, if positive workforce is not around, she's always out there by herself on 125th Street. not picking up used syringes. She's hosing defecation, urination all around her trailer. She out there by herself. I told her one time, I said, Carrie, you just as crazy as me. For her to be out there by herself, and I was so excited to see Positive Workforce come along and partner with you to continue to do the great work that you're doing. So I again want to thank Governor Kathy Hochul for this money, and I'm going to sit with the Congress member and the Borough President, and hopefully that we can fund some to you so you can continue to doing the great work that you're doing on the 125th Duck. So I want to say thank to each and every one of you, but more importantly, I want to thank our wonderful, wonderful governor for being the governor that you are. Thank you.
So East Harlem, this is our Oscar moment. And I have a prepared speech to make sure everyone is accounted for. So first of all, good morning. Good morning. And I would like to start my remarks by recognizing the very people, my board members, who started this whole mission 10 years ago. So when I call their names, please stand up if you are here. Jim Ratty, you all know them. Jim Ratty. Princess Jenkins on 125th. Randy Williams. Sylvia Caldwell. Kat Peeler. Michael Lifkoff from National Black Theater, and Vinny Torres, who I understand is in Puerto Rico on the beach. They all started this mission as a merchant association, and they were known as NEMA, and I'm sure you've heard Jim call it as NEMA. And in fact, there would be no Uptown Grand Central had it not been for these founding members, because they went out there with their own brooms, with their own shovels, and did what nobody else could do, and tried to bring it in and make 125th Street look better. So after we got a few dollars, we were able to hire a clean team through Positive Workforce. Please stand. They're the men. They're the men and the women who's out there every day cleaning the area, and not just 125th Street, the open streets in East Harlem. All of the activities that we have in East Harlem, you know Uptown Grand Central is behind them and Carrie's behind them. So they're there every time when we need them. So I really wanted to recognize them because, like I said, as we got a few dollars, we were able to hire them. And then the next and most important thing is that we were able to hire staff. And Lalaney Gibson is our new program coordinator. Please stand. It's a recent addition. But most important, and you heard them talk about her already, our rock star director, Carrie King. Carrie, I know you done. Stand up again. Our work of revitalizing East 125th Street has brought us to this moment. And it's due to people that I just mentioned and the numerous volunteers that are in this room and not in this room who, like me, believe while others see homelessness, who see dirty streets and drug users, we see potential. We see potential. We see what can be. So thank you, Governor Hochul. Thank you, Commissioner Hope. And I know her personally, that's why I call her Hope Williams. Thank you, Secretary of State, Robert Rodriguez, one of our own, for this honor, and yes, the money, but mostly the honor for believing in what we believe in, the potential, our economic potential, and giving us the ability and the reality of making it into a reality. So I want to thank you all for that. And next thing, you want to know, what did we put in that proposal? Well, we put a whole lot of things that you have all told us about at some point, whether it was a community exercise or it was conversations with us at 125th Street. But let me give you some highlights. What we're talking about basically is colorful pedestrian plazas, signs directing people to the attractions in El Barrio and Harlem, and not to forget LaGuardia. Also, the waterfront greenway. We don't want just the greenway. We want bathrooms to make sure that they don't have to leave the greenway and come back. And then, of course, the most important thing is walkable, thriving Park Avenue corridor connecting the synergy of La Maqueta and East 125th Street for not just our visitors, but for our residents and our children, so they can truly enjoy East Harlem and El Barrio. And last, but most important, and you've heard our congressman talk about it, this is one of the things that I had Carrie put into this proposal. Yes, we want a transit hub station at East 125th Street, built just like you see at Fulton Street. And if we can get Penn Station, we'd get that too. But clearly, the Fulton Street, because I and everyone in this room want to see 4, 5, 6, Q, which is the 2nd Avenue subway, on a marquee that says Subway East Harlem, telling everybody, you have now entered New York City through East Harlem. So enjoy East Harlem while you are here. So I want to thank you also, Mark Levine, Manhattan Borough President, for selecting us and choosing us to be your partner. And we look forward to working with you in these next couple of months. But I want to speak to East Harlem because as a former chair of East Harlem Community Board 11, as the former vice chair of economic development for Community Board 11, and I also speak for the current chair, who's here as well, Xavier Santag, and the former chair, Nilsa Orama. Economic development was always on our minds for East Harlem. So we are so pleased to be able to make everything that we have heard over the years as to what East Harlem wanted to do. But more important, we now have money. It's not just conversations. It is now coming together and getting those ideas that we want, and we know there is $10 million to be able to make it all happen. So thank you, Governor. Thank you, the Congressman, for being that advocate for it, especially on that train station. Thank you, Mark, for picking us, and thank you, Eddie, for everything that you do for us. And Robert, there's absolutely no words that I can say to show you our appreciation. So remember, as you walk out of here, we want to see that transit station at 125th Street that says 4, 5, 6, Q, East Harlem on the marquee. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all, and we look forward to working with you in the next few months as we decide what are the projects in this current time for East Harlem. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated as the program takes a photo.
Jordan, when you want me, Jordan?
Carrie, come on, Carrie.
Right there. There we go. We're going to look right here, everyone.
Right here, please.